My name is Laura Day. I was born March 22nd, 1959 in New York City, and I'm the author of 4 books on intuition and healing. My idea of perfect happiness is to be surrounded by food and friends and family. I love to have my whole world right where I can see it. My greatest fear is losing my family. My mother committed suicide when I was 14, and I think that that sudden change of life is something that you never really get over. I don't know what living or dead person I most admire because I tend to have these 2-week love affairs with everyone I like who I meet. So I could meet someone on a bus and for 2 weeks they're the person I most admire in the world. What I most dislike in myself is my lack of courage. I will do anything before I'll try something new. I like things, like 2-year-olds like them, everything routine. And I detest that because there's so many great new experiences that one should have. I hate people who are indirect. I like to be asked something or told something just straight up. The mental energy it takes to figure out what the subtext is something I just detest. Everything I like, I do in excess. I actually really believe in excess. I think it's an important way to live life. And my 12-year-old is learning excess, and I think he does it. It makes him a very generous person. I think honesty, in a sense, is the most overrated virtue, because often I think people use it to just tell you mean things. I think kindness is more important sometimes than honesty. I always like to be exactly where I am, and so New York is where I'd like to live. I think it's a great city. Even though the World Trade Center fell down about 5 blocks from my house, after a week we were in beautiful Connecticut, and my son looked at me and said, "You know what, time to go home." And we did. We love it here. There are so many talents I wish I had. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I guess off the top of my head, if I had one free talent, I'd like to be able to sing, because even my son asked me to stop singing when he was old enough, and I'd sing him lullabies at night. He'd go, "Ma, stop singing, you have a terrible voice." I've kind of arranged my life so that my entire life is a distraction, although I don't quite know from what. For entertainment, I like to cook, feed, eat, and dance. Anything that requires my leaving the house challenges me. I really have formed my own kind of safe little kingdom, and I love being in it. On the other hand, my work is important to me. I like to do the circle and the intuitive work in community, which is what I write about. So that lures me out of my house and into large groups, which normally any group is my idea of purgatory, but groups when I'm teaching, I love. I wish I could say that I got the most satisfaction from doing good deeds, but I actually get the most satisfaction from my family, from my son, from Adam, my partner, from my brothers and sisters who I fight with constantly. But that whole world in one little viewfinder, like family is, for me, gives me the most joy. The lowest depth of despair is so easy for me to recall. It's when my son was 2 years old and my ex and I had separated basically before he was born. And my lawyer said, in the state of New York, if you don't come up with $2 million, you will lose your son because he will outfight you with money. And I thought, oh my God, this is a world I don't know. I'm going to lose my son. Of course, then a couple weeks later, I wrote my first New York Times bestseller. But those couple weeks of looking at my child and thinking, because I can't pay a lawyer, I could lose you, it still makes me feel sick and dead and angry every time I think about it. I actually think that I'm happiest now, in spite of the fact that at 45, everything's a little lower than it used to be and nothing quite works the way it used to. There's a sense of gratitude and acceptance that I have that I never had before. I was always worried about what would happen or what had happened or not being good enough for it. Now I realize, wait, it's happening. It's this moment. This is it. If I were to come back as a person, I'd want to come back as my son's son or daughter, because I enjoy him. He's funny and he's innovative and he's warm. And I didn't do childhood very well the first time. I think he'd be the perfect parent. breakfast is ready. That's 3 words. Oh, my favorite word. I don't know. I love language, but most language that I love has to do with either food or family. I used to have a house right by a rushing stream, and I loved that sound. And I actually think I love that sound because it's the womb sound, because I've noticed that with people that I work with who are ill, all of those rushing heartbeat womb sounds are very attractive, but that's my personal favorite. I love all food. I mean, food, I didn't discover food until I was in my 30s, and now it's just endless love affair. I have a funny attitude about possessions right now, and I've always been rather acquisitive. Like, I like stuff. But after September 11th, and we had to evacuate our home, we had to leave everything, I realized that the only thing I wanted were people, my rats, my turtles, my frogs, my cat, that everything else was expendable. Even pictures, because the important pictures I have inside of me. So I'm not sure I have a favorite possession anymore. Heaven knows I have a lot of possessions. I love generosity. I really think that there's enough of everything, and there's enough for everyone. Both receiving and extending generosity for me is it. When I was little, I wanted to be 2 things. One was a writer, and the other, because my mother every 14 months brought home a new baby, was a mom. And so far I'm batting 100. The things that I really wanted to do in life, I've done. I've written books, I've had a child, I've been madly in love, I've learned how to take public transportation. So I think the only thing, if I had to add something, what I would add has everything to do with breeding, not as in good breeding, as in lots of breeding. I want grandchildren, I wouldn't mind more children. I just want to be surrounded by new life. You know, when I was younger, like any younger person, I loved trouble. I loved tangled people and strange situations. Now my motto is no new damage. If it looks like it's going to be a problem, I just don't do it, because I think that the way to really enjoy life and grow is to cut your losses.